Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. You're on ThePapare.com, and this is a segment that we look back at the week that was in Schoosl Rugby and what a weekend we had, because we have a lot of teams now who are fighting for their survival in that Cup Championship. We'll talk about that and a lot more on this edition of The Breakdown. These are the results from week 4. We had Science College travelling all the way from Mount Lavinia to Nithawala, and they ended up winning that game against a scrappy St. Anthony's outfit, 22 points to 10. St. Joseph's took on Trinity at home, 37 points to 19. They managed to win that in a surprisingly one-sided encounter. Isipatana 17 points to 3, probably their worst performance in a green shirt this year so far. Kingswood College took on Royal, and Royal's defence outstanding, but they managed to outscore them as well. 20 points to 12 was how the visitors won that one. Wesley took on St. Peter's in a much anticipated encounter, but it was pretty one-sided there as well. 35 points to 22, but Wesley getting that all-important bonus point. And St. Thomas's took on Malayadeva, who scored just their second try of the season so far, but St. Thomas's managed a 38 points to 8 victory. Let's take a closer look at our key games this season. St. Joseph's took on Trinity in what everyone expected was going to be a do-or-die battle. But in the end, I think a lot of people were left surprised with how easy St. Joseph's had that win. 37 points to 19 was how it finished. Trinity looked pretty woeful at the back, it has to be said. Their set piece is an absolute shambles, and that's where St. Joseph's managed to really cause some damage up front. But I think we really have to look at the man of the match performance from Santosh Algama, who was outstanding, pinning Trinity back in their own 22. A very cultured boot on him, not just a long boot, but a very cultured boot, knowing when to do, what to do, and exactly when to do it as well. I thought it was an outstanding performance from the halfbacks. Rashan Gunawardhan also showing a lot of experience and maturity. He's been in that number 9 shirt for a few years now for St. Joseph's, and both of them showing that as final year players, they really are going to take this Josephian outfit to the next level. Trinity, on the other hand, have to go back and look at a lot of negatives that they showed on the pitch against St. Joseph's. Maybe traveling down to Colombo, coping with the heat. Maybe that was always going to be a little bit of a problem for them, but it's not like you don't know what you're going to expect. That Havelock's ground also very, very difficult to play on, but it is difficult for both teams. So Trinity not showing any kind of cohesion. They've got some great broken field runners. Gisha Pakulatunga is surprisingly the highest try scorer for the season. He's very good. Rashan Bandaranaik also showing some outstanding flashes of brilliance from the back, but still, apart from those isolated incidents, Trinity are really not showing a good team performance. So that's something that they will have to go back to the drawing board on very, very quickly, and it will be disappointing given the kind of prep that they have had off season as well. Let's look at the Kingswood versus Royal College game as well. Kingswood starting off with their haka as well, and that emotional high and playing at home managed to get them into that game very strongly. They scored the 12 points against Royal, but that was all Royal was prepared to let them score because this Royal team is built on a very, very sound defense. And Tuleb Hassan is not the best attacking centre in the world, but he is probably one of the best defending centres that we have in this Singer Schools League. He makes some really barnstorming hits, makes sure that the teams get pushed back from first phase, and after that his Royal forwards just swarm all over poor helpless attackers when they're on the floor. So that's an outstanding bit of defense, rush defense that Royal is adopting, and that's something that most teams coming up against them have struggled to do away with. So that's something that Royal College is going to take with them throughout into the knockout rounds as well, or into the next Cup Championship rounds as well. Kingswood had a few moments, they had a few opportunities to maybe breach that defense, but a few ill-judged kicks and perhaps just not putting enough phases together was what cost them. They were a bit impatient in their attack, as we noticed against St. Thomas's as well, but being impatient against Royal College is playing into their hands, certainly. And while Royal are not the best attacking side, and they left quite a few points on the park in terms of conversions as well, they're going to have to address that, because when games get close, those kicks, those 3-pointers and the 2-pointers are going to come back to haunt them. So that's something that they will have to work on, but for the moment a pretty comprehensive victory for the Royalists in the end. Then we had Wesley taking on St. Peter's. That was going to be a close encounter as well. Both teams were telling us that they were going to go wide from the start, and that's exactly what St. Peter's College did. They went to their wingers, they went to their back three, but they didn't have to do that a lot of first phase because they were getting ball kicked to them a lot. And unfortunately, two of the more experienced players for Wesley, that's Walpitage and Zubair, didn't really kick accurately. They kicked well, but not straight into the hands of the opposition fullback and of course the wingers, who really made a meal of the fact that they got so much ball. So while you can kick long and while you can kick hard, it's really important that you kick into space, and that's what Zubair didn't do. And also because he's kicking from the fullback position, he didn't really allow his chasers to get up and contest those kicks well enough. So that's something that Wesley will have to consider about their game plan. And unfortunately, against a very dangerous back three who are superb broken field runners, Ravin Fernando, Dilshan Madhusanka, Tenukanane Kara, Ishara Fernando, Shanoj Silva, all those guys did real damage when they had broken field balls. So as a result of that, St. Peter's coming away with a convincing victory. Wesley coming back into that game, but 35 points to 22 doesn't really show how dominant St. Peter's were on the day.
Live scores දැනගන්න ThePapare.com වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Here are the numbers from week 4. We have stats.thepapare.com, where you can get all the numbers for this week and of course the weeks previously and of course the seasons previous as well if you want to do some comparisons. Royal College at the top of Division 1A. They've got a bit of daylight between themselves and St. Peter's. They are the only unbeaten team in that section of the draw, 22 points they have scored. St. Peter's coming back strongly in the latter half after that original loss against St. Thomas's. 18 points they have, and St. Thomas's also winning against Maliyadeva the other day, and they move up to 17 points and into third place. So it's a massive scrap for who's going to take fourth place in that group. If Wesley College win against St. Thomas's, well, then they have no problem. They will go through. Kingswood will probably meet Maliyadeva. They'll desperately need a bonus point as well and hope that the result between St. Thomas's and Wesley goes their way also. So their fate is not solely in their hands. Maliyadeva, unfortunately, not off the mark yet, and they will be going down into the plate. Joining them in the plate from Division 2A will be Zahira and St. Anthony's, who haven't troubled the scorers in the points column yet. And the unbeaten teams, two of them in fact from Division 2A, we have St. Joseph's playing Isipatana, and that game will be really a cracking game to watch because it will be Manilka Ruberu up against the likes of Rashan Gunawardana and Santosh Algama, and he'll have to see whether St. Joseph's will adopt their kicking game against this dangerous back three of Isipatana, or whether they're going to opt for a more upfront approach, a route one approach against a smaller forward back. Going to be very interesting, that game. Science and Trinity have already qualified, luckily for them, because they haven't been playing the best rugby, but they'll find it a little hard against some of those teams that also qualify from Division 1A. Individual points scoring now. In the tries column, we have two players who are tied on 5 tries each. The St. Joseph's College centre Tarindu Madhuranga playing his final year for the school and showing how lethal he is, and also the outstanding traditional finishing from a winger, Gishapa Kulatunga, with 5 tries for Trinity as well. The top point scorer, no surprises there, Santosh Algama, has been knocking over his kicks and has been in pretty good form with the boots so far this season, and he has 43 points to show for it. Let's look at next week's fixtures. This is the one that will decide the groups finally, of course. And Kingswood have a must-win game against Maliyadeva at Nithavala. They should win that one comfortably, I would think. They desperately need the bonus point as well. Trinity against Science. Science and Trinity have both qualified, so nothing too much riding on this game, except where they finish in the group. And Trinity will be desperately searching for a win, of course. Zahira taking on St. Anthony's. Again, two teams that have dropped down to the Plate Championship, so they will be wondering what their opposition will be like. Both teams will be wanting the win there, and St. Anthony's haven't been playing good rugby. Zahira played a very good game against Isipatana, so hopefully they will be able to take that momentum into this match as well. And then there are a couple of big ones coming up. St. Peter's take on Royal. That's going to be a heck of a game because we have two big forward packs going up against each other. We have a Royal team that doesn't like to kick too much, but Kalindu Nandila has been doing a bit of kicking when he plays fly half as well. Lehan Gunaratne also is not so bad with the boot, and if they do kick to St. Peter's back three, they're going to run it back at them with interest. So it's interesting what the game plan will be from Royal College because they won't able to be just defend and have that structure in that defensive line, because St. Peter's run it from anywhere. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. Watch for even a potential upset there, because St. Peter's are probably going to be the underdogs going in to this game, given Royal's form and given the way that they are placed on the leaderboard. So this this one is a top 2 clash. Then we have St. Joseph's taking on Isipatana, another 1 and 2 clash in the table from Division 2A, and what a match that is going to be. Fast open rugby, I would think, is going to be what we're going to see from them, and whoever does the basics better, I would think, will be the team that ends up winning this one. But the odds are a little shorter for St. Joseph's because Tarindu Dialvis and that forward pack have been really been showing good form, and they've got a lot going on for them up front, which maybe Isipatana doesn't have as much of. Then, of course, a must-win game for Wesley when they travel to Mount Lavinia for the Sir Oliver Gunithalaka Trophy, and that one is going to be a must-win for Wesley to stay in the contention for the Cup Championship, because if they drop down, that would be a failure as far as they are concerned. St. Thomas's have already qualified, and they will be also hoping that they can get their 4th win for the season, keep some momentum before they go into the Cup Championship. So lots going on this week, and all those matches on Saturday the 30th of March. What a big weekend it was, and an even bigger weekend planned for you on ThePapare.com as teams fight for their survival in the Cup Championship, and some other teams will be fighting to keep their unbeaten status alive as well. We've got all that action coming up for you on ThePapare.com. You're on The Breakdown.